We're now going to go into the last topic, which is about libs of TikTok. I don't know if I've ever had a topic about a specific Twitter account before, but we are now in that universe. So, Libs of TikTok is a right-wing Twitter account which posts video from people's TikToks and stuff of left-wing people. And they do things. I think people can. I think in their intros, people will describe what type of stuff they've posted. And recently, an article was released which revealed their identity. It revealed their name. It revealed that they, what city they live in. They revealed their job. And a lot of people are calling this doxing and saying that it's immoral and is meant to intimidate them. Other people are saying that it's justice for what they've done to teachers and other people. So my question is, did Libs of TikTok deserve to be unmasked? I'm going to start with Pixel.
The way this is played out is very interesting. I don't think anybody should really have their information doxed, but looking at the article where it came out, it seems that there is a lot going on within this conversation. There are a lot of things at play. I think the account itself is very obvious in its vilification of queer people. And I think that is a big part of the conversation that we're about to have. My take is that I don't think anybody deserves to be doxxed, but this is an interesting one.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Sprout.
We're all internet personalities at this point. Being on the Hippy Dippy, we're all internet personalities, and I think that none of us want to be doxxed. I know I sure don't want to be doxxed.
Thanks,
and
love. 100
whether or not you think your points are correct or not, there's going to be another side that doesn't believe your points are correct. And so I don't wish doxing upon anyone else. And so I think doxing is wrong. Almost no matter the circumstances. Actually, just no matter the circumstances, I think doxing's wrong. And if anyone on this panel is going to say that Libs of TikTok deserve to be doxed, I would ask yourself first if you would want to be doxed as an internet personality.
Okay. Now I'm going to throw it over to MPU.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Mostly with, almost exclusively with what Pixel said and what Sproutica said. The idea that a person under a pseudonym is posting something on social media where that's basically a reclamation of other people's content. And for people on the left who much of this content is being promoted by, they get pissed off that there's somehow that somebody's drawing like a bright light, Justice Louis Brandeis, right? A bright light shine on the speech in order to illustrate the meme of it all. Whatever. I don't really follow a lot of that content, so I'm not going to speak to the specifics about things, but from what I understand, it's a lot of regurgitation of other people's shit, sort of like reaction streams by Twitch politics people, right? So, I mean, it's similar kind of shit, right? Nobody should live in a society where that's where people who disagree with the person's take, that they want to go out there and they want to fire it up. You don't like me? Come over to my show, post whatever the fuck you want, man. I'm not going to fucking trash you unless you're just being a complete asshole. But if you disagree with me, disagree with me. We've had a lot of robust debate here on this. Nobody that I'm aware of is trying to dox me, but I don't really care either. Okay. That particular situation, yeah, unless you have that consent, right? That's like taking something away from somebody. They're doing something for entertainment value or to illustrate hypocrisy. People should be left alone with it. And the only thing that I'll take a little bit of exception with is that, Pixels, you said, nobody should be doxxed, but it's like you're dealing with like a moral, trying to generate a moral equivalency, right? Like, maybe the circumstances might warrant it, but you're not saying that. And to your credit, that's credit for you. But it should just be, don't fucking dox somebody, right? I'll give Sproutica's credit for saying that. Nobody should be fucking doxed, even if we are internet people.
She was doxing people, so yeah.
Was she doxing people with their own content, right?
Sorry,
Yeah,
he addressed me. That's the only reason.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Lonerbox, Heem, Fabian, the Canadian, and then Adam. You guys get the order.
Yeah, so I think the little way out that the opponents of Libs of TikTok are using is that Libs of TikTok, very stupidly, didn't create a new account. They used an account that had previously been had former names, and then that was part of how they were able to get their information, like her name came out. So, however, there are enough definitions of doxing out there that still can count, because doxing can be, even if you take public information, because all the information about Libs of TikTok was already public. It was under their .us domain, and that necessitated you had to put your personal details. So like Libs of TikTok kind of dox themselves, but you can say that it's still doxing to take public information, to seek it out and attach it to a pseudonymous account that hadn't done it itself. So that is technically doxing. If you agree with that definition, though, if you want to say that Libs of TikTok were doxed, you would also have to say that what they did was doxing. Because I've got one tweet up right now of a first grade teacher talking about their experiences being trans. They tagged the school, whereas the content that they shared, the TikTok they shared, did not mention the school, which means it was public information that was sought out. If Libs of TikTok were doxed, then so too were Libs of TikTok doing doxing. Only with the addition that Libs of TikTok were engaging in doxing with the purpose of falsely calling people groomers. I've scrolled through their account quite a bit. I haven't seen anything that would meet a definition of grooming. Sorry, Cope. But yeah, they were doing it with the express purpose of trying to get people to lose their jobs. It led to targeted harassment campaigns. It led to death threats, etc. So yeah, there's doxing on both sides. I guess we could maybe rather get into the whole insanity of the fact that they're democratically elected officials who are legislating in a way that's inspired by an account that takes TikTok videos and posts them. That's not really how trends work. Yeah, I hope legislation doesn't get based on Twitter accounts too often, but hey.
All right, thank you, Lonerbox, for the intro. Next, we're gonna go to Heem. Okay, so I have actually wrote an opening for this. Okay, so bear with me. So I first want to say fuck Libs of TikTok and any of these platforms that just exist to rage bait. There are ways to criticize people who don't agree with you, but to pick random examples of people off the internet who are perhaps just a bit over the line, out of the norm, and say, oh, look at the degeneracy on the left, all it does is just divide people more. The more these platforms who do nothing but rage bait thrive, the worse off society is. So I think when I see people on the left only rage baiting and not actually trying to engage with the ideas, I call that out. And I think conservatives should call out this behavior as well, so we can have better discourse. Like, I'm all for disagreement on the merits of things, but it's very important to make sure that it's not just for the rage bait, you know? I followed the story of one of these teachers who wore a shirt that had Mulan twerking, okay? Or something like that in a classroom on a day where there was no students in class. She had 200 followers on TikTok. The next thing you know, Libs of TikTok posts it, and then Fox News runs the story that night and puts on their chyron, crazy liberal teachers are brainwashing your kids. Now imagine how she would have felt. 1 second she's posting a lighthearted meme on her TikTok to 300 people, and the next second she's on primetime television. Now, as for the doxing, I've heard claims saying that everything was already publicly available, but when you go to the WAPO article now, it's been edited. And I know this because just before the panel tonight, I did the Wayback Machine, and if you do it on the day that the article was initially published, there's a link that says that the owner is a real estate salesperson, and if you click on the link, it takes you to the actual real estate page with all of her information about how she's from Brooklyn,
We saw that.
So, but she does the same thing, right? And also she made the grave mistake of going and doing tours on media. It's not like she was trying to be super anonymous and stuff. She was doing media tours, just doing them anonymously. And then lastly, I think accounts like people like Joe Rogan and stuff who go out there, they might have seen one or two things they retweeted, and they go out there and they say, oh, I love Libs of TikTok, and say shit like that. That does a lot of disservice because it kind of gives them legitimacy. And then before you know it, DeSantis's press secretary was crediting Libs of TikTok for bringing attention about the degeneracy of the left. So yeah, there you go. As Lonerbox said, the information was it was their own. You know, they could have done more to hide it.
Fabian?
Yeah. Already you're kind of hearing like, you know, well, this account, you know, reposts other people and they do it in a bad way, and somehow I don't understand what the importance of that is. Maybe it's we're just talking about Libs of TikTok in general. You know, there is a massive amount of left-wing accounts that do this, right? And social media is predominantly controlled by left-wing institutions. Institutionally, their moderation is explicitly left-wing. You know, because like, you know, things like misgendering, for example, is a great example, right? Right-wingers that don't believe in doing that are forced to follow guidelines that are based off of a leftist philosophy of the world and of sexuality and sexual orientation and gender. That being said, you know, when looking at the Taylor Lorenz doxing situation, I think there's a lot of doxing that has gone all around, right? Taylor Lorenz was supposedly the victim of doxing. Libs of TikTok is, you know, was obviously doxed, not by her, because she didn't do any journalism, but by the German government. The German government was the one that was funding left-wing, what is it? Oh my
Thanks
God,
for the 100 bits, Flo.
Travis Brown and his organization, you know, but it's the German government giving it to another supposedly private institution, giving it to Travis Brown, giving it to her. So like, I think conservatives are maybe maybe drawing a line that isn't perfect there. Like you can like prove that it's like a secret agent thing or something, when it might just be that, you know, left-wing governments and left-wing corporations and left-wing people like to do this type of activism and like to do wild shit. You know, Taylor Lorenz, however old you are, if you're 49 or 37 or 32, I don't know, you're sensitive about it for some reason. You know that you doxed someone, you know that it was wrong. Have Libs of TikTok maybe gone a little bit too far and been a little bit loose with their information that could be called doxing in some degree? Sure, yeah, I would say so. There's a lot of fake memes and a lot of fake screenshots out there where, like, if you use the Wayback Machine,
awesome.
like their doxing is like not on Wayback Machine. It's obviously just edited to try and say that they're doing that. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. But ultimately, doxing's fucked up. It's wrong. And the idea to say, well, it's public information, but the way that we had to get a public information was with like codes and like experts going through information that wasn't saved anywhere, as opposed to shit that was just widely available, is a little bit disingenuous, right? Like, it wasn't like anybody could have just looked this up. There was an Antifa account that started it, and they believed that they might have found the person, that it might be this person, and it wasn't until Travis Brown's organization was able to confirm it with their software that they were able to definitively say that it was that person before they doxed them. Doxing's bad, and anybody that says it's not bad is silly. So I guess we'll talk about the woke accounts of TikTok people and whether or not we should be shining a light on crazy people educating your children, whether or not we're not allowed to do that if we put too many bad words in front of their video.
Okay. I'm now going to throw it over to my Canadian friend.
Thank you. Always so polite to the Canadians, except for him.
He doesn't consider me Canadian. I think he's one of those types that says if you're not born in Canada, you don't count.
What's the Purple Party in Canada?
People's Party of Canada.
I voted for them. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Self-reported.
My God. All right. So I'm going to take a bit of a take that I don't think anyone else did. I don't know that she was really doxxed, because to me, based off like my experiences over the years, and like a long time ago, I was in like the hacking underground in like the early 2000s. So for me, when somebody says doxing is like a comprehensive breakdown of all the personal information of the person, usually in some kind of pastebin format or some other text format, which can then be weaponized against the person specifically. And I don't know that the sharing of this information that was like pretty easily accessible, like a double-digit IQ people could look up the domain name and like just do a little bit of like cursory Google searching and find the shit out. Like it's I really question whether or not it's like fully legitimate doxing. And I think as content creators, and especially so somebody like Libs of TikTok, we should all be acclimated to the idea that when we put stuff out on the internet, it's like we're sitting at the center of a coliseum, right? We should expect that we're going to have a lot of eyes on us, so we're going to have a lot of pushback, a lot of criticisms, and people are going to Google us. People, oh, I shouldn't say us, like I'm a nobody, I haven't really done shit. So people are going to like Google them, right? Like people are going to like look. And a lot of times they're going to wonder like details, but I don't know if that really counts as like doxing, because to me, doxing requires that like malicious intent. I think the Washington Post should still be able to write those kind of articles like that, but I do think that they could have done it a little bit better and had a little bit more like journalistic integrity. I think they could have had an overall better account of like better challenge and criticism of the content that they're posting, free of a lot of like the virtue signaling and things that you often see in outfits like Washington Post, because they're really because we all do it, right? Everybody likes to signal like moral outrage, talk about like how outrageous the person did this, the person said that. I would just like to see that. And I don't think it's good, no matter what, to permit doxing, because I think that is, again, like a comprehensive personal account that can be weaponized as if they're on some kind of list. And I think based off of like what I've started to learn about Twitch and Twitch histories, we really don't like lists.
Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Adam.
Okay, so like this Libs of TikTok page, first of all, I mean, it's what it is essentially an ongoing like cringe compilation. You know, these sites used to be pretty popular, and just Libs of TikTok is what we're seeing is essentially just a 2016 YouTube anti-SJW channel, but like in text, basically. You know, oh, look at these degenerates, and you know, all these like insane progressives, and then people come and like rant about the Jews in the comments or something. At least this is how it used to go. You know, doing the echo signs and whatnot. What happened to them, of course, like doxing isn't nice. That being said, I believe there's a gradient. So if, for example, someone just doing just like non-combative whatever content and then gets doxed by political adversaries online, that's bad. However, Libs of TikTok have been doing this like very sort of venomous, incredibly sort of incendiary, combative shit online. So at this point, they should also exercise a bit of personal responsibility and you know, just admit that they have, you know, been playing stupid games, and sometimes when you do, you win stupid prizes.
Okay, who wants to start us off? Oh, MPU.
Just a quick question for Bryce. So if releasing, I get your argument, like in the classical sense about doxing, I totally agree with that, right? But that's a 90s kind of an argument, right? But in today's world, where we have the countervailing forces of people who can relatively easily speaking, right? You can get somebody's personal information if you're willing to dig out that info. If you have a malicious intent, say somebody doesn't, again, I'm not making a personal judgment about Libs of TikTok or anybody else. I'm saying that somebody who disagrees with the approach or the take that person is doing, they find out where they work. And then they put it in their sphere of influence and say they're like somebody like Hassan, who's got 40,000 people watching him all the time, right? And then they decide to take up a crusade to go say that person works for Pepsi. I don't know where they work, but say they work for Pepsi, and they go out, and Pepsi's a woke company. And then they say, okay, we're going to just go ahead and crush you now because you're giving us so much bad publicity that we're going to now harm the person who is behind the account. That kind of stuff it's doxing, right? Because the release of the information has you have to look. I see leftists all the time, okay, say that no, my constitution has to be flexible, but your ideology doesn't. Okay,
so
if you're willing, I'm just trying to say my point, right?
Yeah.
Is if you can release. If you can release somebody's name or employer, and then that has an opportunity to give that person's followers or other people on the internet with ill intent, okay, they can go out and they can leverage that company fires that person. Now you've actually harmed that person. That is exactly what doxing was intended to do. It was to create pressure to cause somebody to stop a certain behavior. And it is a chilling effect. And in the last conversation we just had, you guys were all talking about like the chilling effect of X. Okay. And I think it's fucking stupid that people think that this is okay to do that. It's wrong. It's totally wrong.
So if you want to talk about malicious intent.
Wait, can I respond to him?
Yeah, go on.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Letterbox. So I'm not a mind reader. I'm not going to speculate as to whether or not somebody has malicious intent. That would be a case for lawyers to prove that there was malicious intent in these examples. And I'm not a lawyer either. With regards to what you're saying, I think that there are other problems that are not that are not the subject of conversation. So if we're talking about like cancel culture, accountability, or the actions of people like brigading, things like that, these are all like separate conversations that I don't know that we're having right now. So I don't know how relevant it is actually to talk, because at its core, the point is that we're not mind readers. So we don't know exactly if somebody had the malicious intent that there'd be some byproduct of that action leading to somebody getting brigaded against, right? Like this hypothetical doesn't really pan out because it relies on us being mind readers. Yeah,
as far as malicious intent goes, I think intent is a kind of like, even I can say this, I don't think there's malicious intent from Libs of TikTok. I think it's very possible that their person, like whoever she is, like actually thinks she's doing the right thing. What I would look at is consequences, right? The consequences of Libs of TikTok getting doxxed was that they went on Tucker Carlson and got to milk the fact that they were doxxed, even though they did very little to avoid it happening. The consequences of people who get doxxed by Libs of TikTok is that they get falsely accused of grooming. They get thousands of people calling them pedophiles and calling their schools and accusing them of grooming, causing massive amounts of stress. Like, okay, do we think that one of these is like less like malicious, has less of a malicious intent or in consequence than the other?
So I would argue that Libs of TikTok did more damage to people that she doxed by naming their place of work. And even if it's a small place of work, I think that even if it's a small place of work, they're going to be more likely to let you go than to try and deal with the public outrage. Especially if it's a small place of work. If it's bigger, they can kind of deal with it a little bit better because they got more money, they can move around. But if it's a small place of work, then it's something that's like, yeah, we can't have you working here because of the public outrage. But yeah, if their places of work were being contacted, I think Libs of TikTok did something that was much more egregious form of doxing. But I still don't think it was correct to dox her. I think that the correct action, considering doxing is more than likely considered harassment, is that Twitter banned the account for doxing, which would be allowed legally because you're not allowed to harass someone even in public. So I would argue that the correct action instead of doxing would have been Twitter taking action. So
yeah, I think it's not actually doxing. I think we're just talking about harassment, because I think, again, there has to be, for me, what doxing entails, because we're talking about the byproduct of this information, right? So the byproduct in these situations where there's malicious intent, like in a comprehensive document that breaks down like the entire person's identity more than just a few tidbits of information, like you'd find on like a domain registrar, is usually because they'll do stuff to like shut off your utilities, shut off your power, to actually like terrorize you and torment you, right? Whereas like in this situation, it's more about like the social accountability, which I think if we want to get into like that conversation, whether or not there should or shouldn't be social accountability for our behavior in these online platforms, like that's kind of an interesting segment to make.
I think you're being maybe a little bit unfair. Like I get your point, but you're being a little bit unfair under two things. First, I don't know that the debate, the semantic debate about what is and isn't doxing is necessarily helpful, though. I mean, like, sure, fine, we can do it, but I think we all obviously are kind of in a context of the colloquial expression of doxing as in information that wasn't available to the public widely, that people didn't know, and then they present that information in a large form of that now allow a large swath of the public to be able to find out where you live, where you work, what your name is, what company you work for, etc. Right? And maybe not from the strict definition that you're working from, is it considered doxing, right? But I don't know that that's
Sure, we
all
can
that
talk about the
helpful.
harassment. Like we can talk about the harassment and do a
Right,
better
but
job of teaching
but
people
it's
like
more
digital
than, right, but
responsibility, right?
harassment.
Like
Okay, maybe we need a new term for this, right? But it's more than harassment, because you're not just harassing person, you're also putting their information that essentially no one had and no one could confirm until another company by Travis Brown was able to use his software to find that the information was valid from having previously tracked that information. Antifa had attempted to dox them, but they couldn't confirm it. Nobody could confirm who this was until a company that tracks right-wingers and their information was able to confirm it to her. Right? You said like anybody with like, you know, a 2-digit IQ could do this. I don't know, maybe you're a fucking IT wizard, but I think you might be overestimating what anybody with a 2-digit IQ was able to
what
do.
I read was that she listed, there was a couple different things that like I feel like maybe this is a difference in like regular activities when you're like looking into somebody, but I do think that you might also underestimate like how many people
She
are
used her full
digitally
name.
savvy
She used her
on the
full
domain.
name and cell phone number linked to her real estate sales contact information.
Real estate, yeah.
She gave like literally every,
And she's a real estate agent, right? Which is already like a more publicly like available and more accessible kind of career than you know other careers.
Before
the
argument is, it's very simple. Before this article, the public was not aware of who this person was. After this article, the public was widely aware of who this person was, where her family lived, where she lived, what her phone number was, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Now,
It's
you
like
don't,
the
if you want
digital
to
age
call
that
that
we live in.
harassment,
That's a problem with privacy, right? Like we live in a digital age where
okay,
No,
but there's
listen,
some moral impetus on the Washington Post to have some journalistic integrity to not share this fucking information.
I kind of agree that like they could have done a better it could have been even a more effective piece if they were like, hey, look, here's Libs of TikTok, here's what they do, here's examples of people's lives they've destroyed, and here's examples of them like in the article it says how Ron DeSantis's press secretary is now using Libs of TikTok and saying it opened her eyes towards the degeneracy of the left. I think there's a lot of criticisms of Libs of TikTok to be made that unfortunately, because she named the person, it actually undermined all of the other arguments and kind of brushed them under the rug. And now everyone's focusing on how she's the victim rather than how much of a scumbag she is and how she does absolutely nothing to hide the identity of the people that she's trying to expose. When I, who have only like 11,000 followers on Twitter, when I want to call people out, and especially if they're smaller accounts, I will block out their name because it's the least I can do. Because if you're really out there trying to criticize people's behaviors only, hey, look at this person, they're doing something wrong and it should be critiqued. You don't need to attach their name to it and say, oh, here, go call their school board, And I think that's where it's like we could use a little bit more responsibility. I guess I don't have a problem saying that like her identity doesn't matter here. It's the fact that like what she's doing, you know. And I think, as I said earlier, these kind of rage baity platforms, there's another one on Insta called SixBuzz, which is a Canadian one. All they do is post rage bait. They'll post like a random person having a mental episode and be like, this is Canada under Justin Trudeau. What do you think? It's like, dude, all you're doing is sowing division. This is fucking horrible for society and I hate it.
Yeah, this is
I
like,
can agree with you. I have
you.
a question, a legitimate question, right? Like,
well, Loner hasn't talked for a while, actually.
Go ahead, Loner. It's fine.
Yeah, like this, it's like what white supremacists would always do as well. Like actual white supremacists, like they would do this thing where they'd say, you know, white people are being persecuted by black violence, and then they would just have like a compilation of like 17 videos of white people getting beaten up by black people. And there's no context. We don't know why these like fights broke out, and they could be like filmed like 10 years apart. But the idea is it's like you're there to feed into some preconceived notion, and that's what Libs of TikTok does as well. It's very like postmodern tactics. So you got to hand it to them. The way that people are like identifying trends based on a very carefully curated scroll of TikToks. And then again, if we're talking about the I don't think Libs of TikTok give a fuck about being doxxed. Like they even posted a picture from their front door where you could see the street in the background saying like, hey, Taylor, you're harassing our family. But that gave me more information about the home address than anything in the Taylor Lorenz article did.
That was not real.
It wasn't real.
What wasn't real?
It's literally if you Google, if you reverse image search that image and you just Google egged house, that's the first photo.
Yeah,
No,
just
not egg.
Google
No,
egged
no,
house.
no. The house that Libs of TikTok tweeted the picture of Taylor Lorenz outside the house. This is on Libs of TikTok's Twitter.
Oh, you mean like at their family member's house?
Yes,
Like,
this is this is
okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the
yeah,
other one.
and that gave me more information about their home address than like anything that in the Taylor Lorenz article. So yeah, I don't think Libs of TikTok gave a fuck about being doxxed. But yeah, the point is like,
I doubt that it's more information than the literal address one click away.
well, the
Like,
address
come
wasn't,
on.
but no, the literal like Taylor's the Libs of TikTok. There was their work address that was on the Washington Post link, not her home address.
I really wanted to.
The Libs of
respond to
TikTok
something
home
you
address
said.
wasn't on the Washington Post article. Just to be clear, the home address, there was no home address there. There was just the work address. So, but yeah, like if you want, okay, if I want to come clean and say I don't really have much sympathy for them because their whole account is like a doxing and harassing like platform. That's what they do, and
Or at
you
least
know,
the doxing like instigator. Like, hey, here's some chum. Do with it what you want. Hundreds of thousands of people. Here's a fucking piece of shit that needs to be exposed. But I'm not gonna tell you who they are. You guys figure it out for yourself.
Well, see, this is the question that I have, right? That I wanted to ask is like, if these are teachers in your schools, right? And they're and what you're doing is you're exposing people who are in a specific school district. It's a difficult line here because what you don't want obviously is like, you know, national attention on a specific teacher for being crazy if this is some isolated incident. But at the same time, do not the parents in schools that are where you have a public education system where they're taking tax dollars from you have some right to know this information from teachers that are in their own schools? And should this not be shown? Like it's a weird, delicate balance because like you don't want the specific school to be shown because you don't want national attention. You don't want like a harassment campaign started against this teacher or et cetera, et cetera. Whereas at the same time, there are parents who their own schools are in here. Like it's like I don't know. Like
it's not that shaky. It's not that shaky though, because Libs of TikTok, whether they wanted a targeted harassment campaign or not, they behaved in a way that targeted harassment was inevitable. I don't think I've looked through the last like they like.
That's not what I'm asking. Like I'm asking like, what do you do in that situation? Look, like as a parent,
you tell the school board. You tell the principal. What do you mean?
Okay, there's a difference. So
yeah, you can do that privately.
These problems, like we do need oversight as to what happens in schools, obviously, but these problems should be solved through the proper oversight bodies, not online lynch mobs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually interject real quick.
That's
to
why
say that I think he might have had a really good point that we could probably expect more from WAPU in terms of like cognizance of like the potential for brigading or like negative fallout. It should just be something that could be factored in the editorial process. But at the same time, it is the neo-Marxists that were at the Washington Post that we're talking about. So
nice. Yeah, like the question, it's not really about like exposing though, because what they didn't really do it was defaming. They're calling people groomers and shit, and then it's like you've got thousands of people contacting a school board saying this teacher is a groomer and shit. And
based off of like a 5-second TikTok, like you don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, and
the one that
honestly,
I mentioned,
like
there was no students even at the school. She was wearing a shirt on a day where there was no students at the school. She was just doing whatever teachers do when there's no students, like prepping themselves or whatever. Yeah, and they're posting that as though she's a groomer and shit. Like there's no one there.
Look, we can talk all day long and whataboutism about the rhetoric in political conversations on fucking Twitter, right? Like where like we can pretend to be so offended that someone was called a groomer, which is something that like literally when everyone is talking about these insane fucking lefty teachers were calling them that. Or we could talk about the whataboutism of like left-wing people calling people fascists and putting them on fascist lists every time that they have like the wrong take. Right? I'm with you. But the problem, right? The problem is that we do indeed have an unaccountable education system in America where there are teachers that espouse insane fucking ideological beliefs to your children, and your children are exposed to these things. And instead of like us having an informed population that's aware of what's going on in schools, parents aren't aware of.
So you think the best way to hold teachers to account is to have them go viral, or have them have the potential of going viral?
What are you, fucking Kathy Newman, and I'm Jordan Peterson here? Like, I didn't say that shit. What I'm saying is that we have a fundamental problem here.
I'm saying there's better ways to do it. There's a union, there's a school board, there's a superintendent. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Why do you think that why do you
yell
think
just to yell? Like, listen to what I say.
Well, you just go on and on. You just go on and on. So I need to interject with
no, trust me. Trust me.
I'm not too stupid.
What is the solution?
Right, that's what I'm asking. I'm literally not even debating at this point. I'm just asking an open-ended question and saying, like, okay, we clearly have an issue with like certain ideologies, and parents aren't aware. We clearly have an issue where these people are being doxxed because they're getting nationwide attention from from a Twitter account with like 700,000 plus people, right? Like, what is the solution? I mean, like, my solution, if I was giving one, would be get your fucking kids out of public schools because there's no fucking accountability, and that we should open this up to the private market. But I'm asking you guys, like, what do we do in this situation where there's clearly a problem? And I think that Libs of TikTok is a symptom of a problem here, of multiple problems here.
So I don't think there's clearly, okay, like,
I can neo-Marxists indoctrinating your children at school, or which problem we're talking about?
No, he thinks the problem is that some of these teachers, they go to class, and then like after school they might talk about, oh yeah, we spoke about like gender stuff today, and then apparently that's like some kind of fucking horror show and whatever. But like, yeah, I scrolled through for like
question, or do your bullet points.
Well, no, you're begging the question because you're saying that the existence of these teachers in schools is a problem. I don't think it is for like the vast majority of them.
If you don't think it isn't, then like there's no better way to show me that you're not a parent.
Can you give me one example, Fabian? Please,
dude.
Please.
Literally, just go. You say you've looked at Libs of TikTok.
Yeah.
There's insane, batshit crazy.
Can you show me anything from?
Can you show us your strongest example? I just want. I've looked for the last 2 weeks of their content. I saw nothing. Okay.
Could you show me anything in IB or AP?
I'm literally. This is what I'm going to say to anyone that wants to look. You can just go to Libs of TikTok and scroll down. And if you think that shit's not insane and there aren't tons of insane examples there, you're a fucking weirdo.
You're begging the question. Okay, yeah, because that's an ad hominem fallacy if I ever heard one.
So you do understand this is like the far minority. This is like the far left, the far minority of what you're seeing. You do understand this,
no, he said
this
I'm
is
not
like handpicked from like I'm gonna find the craziest shit I can possibly find on TikTok. Like, you're acting like this happens in your local school district. All right, guys, Lives on TikTok. Everyone found a teacher in every one of your local school districts. So we need to fucking fix this shit. No, this is like a minority case situation in which this is like the craziest that Libs on TikTok could possibly find. Like, you do understand that, right?
Like, and again, I already stated transformative social emotional learning as something that is being
what the fuck is that? That is so random. That is so
I gave you a definition. Like, I gave you a definition and then told you 3 states.
You just love acronyms. You have such a fucking hard on for acronyms. It's like APA this, fucking TSEL that. Like, no one cares.
ESG.
I suppose.
Well,
I don't know what stuff. I can't give you examples of crazy people. I can't give you examples of it.
I'm asking you, can you show me something from IB?
Why not? I brought examples. I looked at some examples of Libs of TikTok.
Wait. Give me a second. Okay. I want to hear my friendly neighborhood Canadian, okay, from your friendly neighborhood Polish.
What do you want, Dylan? What do you want, Dylan?
I said my friendly neighborhood Canadian.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Nova Scotia, by the way. That's why he said friendly, because best province in Canada. Okay, yeah, no. So this the TSL. I do not doubt that this thing exists, right? This thing, you can find it. I did some Google searching. It exists on like UN's website. It's definitely something that people talk about. It doesn't seem like it's something that is instituted in really far and wide way. I think there's something even on like California's website, but the existence of it does not prove that it's something that is instituted on a wide set basis, because across across secondary education, we have systems like AP and IB that have a huge percentage of American education. And I promise, what I've been trying to ask you is, can you show me in either official AP documentation or IB documentation, because I fucking know you love acronyms, of this TESL, TSL shit, whatever it is.
My kids consent.
I don't have that to
all choose their own gender identity.
I only have that it's instituted in South Carolina, that it's instituted in Pennsylvania, that it's instituted in California. And most of these TSEL things are in leadership courses for teachers. It's mostly PhD level individuals teaching transformative social emotional learning, and then saying, look, you need to engage in psychology and psychiatry with your children.
So what? So the fuck what? These are established. No, is not. Okay, the reason prior.
So what?
You maybe get some. No, hang on.
Looked at the definition, right? I read it.
So it doesn't. You're talking about people that have finished their PhDs that are now like employed as teachers, and if they're being going through.
No, it's not. They don't have necessarily PhDs. These are people that are teaching
point that I'm relying on.
Primary, secondary
education. He's talking about the leadership courses. That most
my apologies.
The leadership
in New
courses.
York, they have like voluntary leadership.
Yeah. So the way, even if this existed, like we can be super charitable and say that this exists in North Carolina, California, and I forget the third
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. But
I mean, it's
the existence of this
in the school structure,
right? But it's really funny because I think like this is the third or fourth time that you've relied on presenting something that seems different than what it really is when we look into it, and that's kind of making me think that you're inadvertently.
I read the definition from Kaisel.
Yeah. Okay.
How am I presenting it differently by reading the definition from the highest authority on it?
If I read a sentence and I infer from that sentence something that does not necessarily, if I'm inferring it in the worst way imaginable, does that mean that is emphatically the case? That like no matter what, or could there be other alternate interpretations? Like could this TSL stuff actually not be that bad and actually not even be that impactful? I mean, like, do you have
if you want to go watch my VODs where we watch the leadership courses for hours on end and like specifically go over it, and you want to think, well, he's making a bunch of hullabaloo about nothing and that that is what it is, go check out my VOD. We're in a debate about fucking libs of TikTok, and I'm bringing up one example of institutional problems that I see and the fact that parents aren't aware, and how do we deal with that?
Okay, so if the question's about libs of TikTok, okay, well, yeah, it's a debate, okay, but you're assuming that your emotional response to these videos is going to be the same as ours unless we're insane, which is not a very good argument, by the way. We've asked you, just give us an example. You said, well, just go scroll through libs of TikTok. I've scrolled through libs of TikTok. I imagine other people have. I don't see like a big problem with a lot of what they're posting. I can see one or two things that maybe a parent, I can understand their concern, but overall, like, no, nothing that justifies a public shaming campaign and targeted abuse and shit.
I'm inviting the audience to watch it because I think that unlike you that thinks a majority of America is turning in a woke progressive way, as you said earlier, I don't think that's what's actually going on. And I think when normal fucking people look at the videos on libs of TikTok, they go, what the fuck is happening in our schools?
Okay, so you can't make an argument then. You're just begging the question. You're just saying it's crazy because it's because you said so. Okay, can I just have one example then?
Okay, fine. I'll just go to libs of TikTok and then show you and say, do you think this is normal? And then you'll say it's normal.
Cool.
So
and
you
I'll
don't
be
understand
like, what's wrong? What the hell?
Well, we can talk about the content.
You obviously don't understand what the saying is, right? You obviously don't understand what's going on. This is the craziest of the crazy. You can always find the craziest of the crazy. You can do that with the right wing when they pull out the Nazis and be like, oh, this must represent the entire right wing. That's the exact same thing you're doing right now. Is you're equating the entire right wing to Nazis. Yeah, you're saying the same exact thing, but with education, you're like, this is the farthest out there education we can possibly get, and now it's the entire education. That's not what goes on. You can go pull up videos.
No one is saying that.
You can go pull up videos all you want. TikTok and say, is this correct? But you're saying that we should all get out of public schools and we all should all go to private schools. You're saying this is the issue, and I keep asking, what's the issue? Like, let me go pull up some videos from libs of TikTok, and I'll ask you if it's an issue.
You know what's really funny is I was on libs of TikTok. I was looking at libs of TikTok, and one of the videos that I thought, okay, I can see why a parent might find this a bit weird. Like they might have a word, doesn't justify what libs of TikTok does, but like it was a video of this preschool teacher saying that like, oh, we teach diversity, and you know, like one day we said with kids, you can have your little pronoun badges. You can pick a pronoun. Most of the kids pick the pronoun that they had at birth, but one or two changed, and you know, that was a bit of fun. And I'm like, maybe like gender bending at the age of 4 might be a bit concerning to some parents, whatever. So I looked at the person's TikTok, and all throughout their TikTok is just videos about them like coming home from work and talking about like how much they love their job and like how much their favorite thing is when a kid is stuck on a problem, but then they solve it, and giving like advice on how to deal with frustration when you're educating. I'm like, this person's a fucking demigod, you know? And like what? Because of fucking pronoun badges, we're gonna like publicly shame like I don't even think that's that harmful. Like I fucking wore dresses in nursery, and like comparing that to like, I don't know, the crazy fucking Catholic lady who threatened to force feed me at lunchtime. Like, but then I actually saw that.
Shame that behavior.
And Fabian, I actually saw that. I actually saw that this person I'm talking about with the pronoun badges, the non-binary person, was actually homeschooled by like Christian conservatives, and that's how they turned out. That's really funny. Anyway.
Yeah, publicly shame them. Yes, I agree.
So I want to really interject here because I'm not going to let this go. This whole social emotional learning shit is just, I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to be rude because that's kind of bullshit. I looked into this even more than I did just previously. And even there are a couple of things like CASEL and this SEL4CA, which is like the Social Emotional Learning Alliance for California. And even in their own words, it says that the legislation surrounding this is weak and they have a hard time ever getting this passed in any school. And they have to consider that it's something that has to be a point of further progression and like activism, and that they have a number of different things that they want to try to pass. But
that's why it's being instituted in training courses and leadership courses for teachers.
Sure, it might be in optional training courses for teachers, but it's not set in stone. It's not enforced by California legislation. I imagine that if I look into the other two states, it is not going to be enforced by the legislation of those states. So it's going to be something exactly what Spartacus said. You're looking at outliers. You're getting a curated account that is presenting extreme outliers that you cannot use to justify the norm of what's happening.
It's, again, what am I justifying? What I'm justifying is that is defunding and getting out of schools. That is an anarcho-capitalist philosophy that doesn't even need any of this libs of TikTok shit to begin with.
But so far you've been arguing that, right?
What's that?
So far you've been kind of like you haven't directly argued, but like you heavily implied that like because of all these like insane woke whatever libs, we should just take our kids out of schools and like homeschool them or something.
I've been arguing to conservatives that these institutions, that this march on the institutions is not going away. It's gonna continue. It's gonna get worse. And the best thing you can do is, instead of making reactionary fucking bills in Florida, you should just get your fucking kids out of these schools. Yes.
How do you feel about the fact that one of those that non-binary gender badges person was actually like homeschooled by pretty radical conservatives? Like,
it's irrelevant.
They'd spend more time.
It's irrelevant. I know you think it's funny, but it's really irrelevant to the topic.
Well, it just kind of.
Wait. MPU has been waiting for a while, so I do want to throw it over to MPU. He did raise his hand a while ago.
Yeah, it's irrelevant, Lonerbox, because how a person identifies or chooses to identify, or how they are, right? Has no, it's not supposed to have any bearing on how you were raised as a child, right? So for you to make that sort of a specious sort of a attack against, conservative Christian parents is somehow, oh, it's funny, it's great, right? It's irrelevant. It's just fucking irrelevant. And here's the other thing.
What's the point of homeschooling then?
When we talk, because you don't trust the public school system. This is, again, why the elections in Virginia swung so mightily in favor of the GOP, because nobody in Virginia trusts the school fucking system and the public education system under the regime that had been doing it for 25 fucking years.
Yeah, Loudoun County was a big reason for
that. Was a very large reason. Okay, and the other issue, California, right? You don't have to explicitly state. You were talking about the vagueness, right? Of the California curriculum, or what was being argued. There's a reason why it's vague like that, right? It's vague in order to give people cover so that they can probatively test the boundaries upon which they can sort of leverage. And once they find a vector they can attack, then they will go out and they will create new legislation or new guidelines that are more finite over time. And you see that over the historical progression of how legislation and how rulemaking and stuff like that occurs. Right? They give the public what they think the public will take, and then they keep pushing the boundary to get them to take more. This is the whole construct behind liberalism to begin with, in the United States, starting with fucking Woodrow Wilson, right? And the first progressive movement that existed in the U.S.
Oh, pause.
I don't know why.
Leftism.
I don't know why you're.
I'm the only liberal here.
Well, originally leftism, right? The progressivism that started with Woodrow Wilson under the auspices of the United States really took place after we had the 16th and 17th Amendments, right? So, and I don't know why you shake your heads. I don't know why you shake your head, Bryce, about it. That's how progressive things occur. They're incremental changes, right? Until the point where the people in power.
Why are you praising this like it's a bad thing? I think you have to look.
Well,
let
me finish my point. Well, because you kind of shook your head. You were shaking your head about what I was saying.
Yeah,
the problem is that the progressive left in the United States, they push and push and push and push until they get a snapback. Okay. And what's coming in at least in the United States, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the United States, come November, there's a lot of people that are projecting massive, historically massive losses for the Democratic Party, because people are tired. People are tired about this construct that says, I don't care what half the country thinks. And even people on the left side of the aisle, especially in Virginia, right? Youngkin didn't get elected governor because of the Republicans. Democrats outnumber Republicans in Virginia. Pissed off parents put Youngkin and the rest of the GOP in power there. That is a cautionary tale for the left in this country.
Okay, so I'm going to try to go back. You said a bunch of things there, and some of it not relevant to what I want to respond to. The way that you're framing this incremental change, this push, this is the kind of natural way that a lot of political theorists and a lot of philosophers actually think is the ideal way of doing things on both sides of the political spectrum. You have Edward Bernstein, who's like the father of SocDems, who is more in favor of like progress and reform over time and actually having it being in almost a perpetual state of progress. And then you honestly, even like Edmund Burke, right? Even he was like, I'd prefer like reform and change over time, right? So I mean, to try to package this and frame this
we're
as
fucking
like,
miles away.
It's a bad thing because you're getting incremental change over time. Like, no, like that's exactly what we fucking want. You just got to get with the times.
Okay, I'm gonna admit I'm completely lost. How does this have anything to do with Libs of TikTok or doxing?
It doesn't.
Because it doesn't. They're just.
I think we exhausted the topic pretty much.
Sick. Can we talk about some of the TikToks? What about the guy who got accused of being a pedophile because he was researching the online map community? Like what?
Well, I mean, that guy was specifically saying, I believe it's a guy, was specifically saying that they intentionally used the term map.
Because they were researching them. Because they were researching
and they wanted
those people.
And they were saying that it would help to encourage people to seek help rather than to vilify them and have them, kind of maybe act on it in secret or something like that. I actually remember on our podcast with Dylan, I was initially like, yo, look at this thing. Remember, Dylan, when we looked into that? Like literally one of our first podcasts, I was like, yo, what is this thing? And then when we actually looked at it and discussed it, it was like, oh, okay, it kind of makes sense.
That was also like, there was a bit where he basically did the classic, like you distinguish between like the pedophile and like the sexual opportunist because they have like different criminal categories because, every other crime, it helps to understand the criminal. But yeah, I'm just saying, if this is the best example you guys have of craziness.
I think we found exactly why you don't see much crazy on
Why?
Because you're specifically stating that people advocating for using minor attracted persons.
Why?
And
in what context?
Pedophilia.
In what context was he saying? He was saying... He saying he used the term map because that's what they identified as because he was researching them.
And he said that he preferred to use the language that communities identify themselves as opposed to other communities and what they label this person as. But I think that when you see people justifying using minor attracted persons instead of pedophile, we know exactly why you don't see anything wild on Libs.
That's how you study every community, because if he's trying to get information on these people, if he goes in saying, I'm going to interview the grooming pedophile community, no one's going to fucking talk to him. This is the most normal thing about research. It's just because pedophilia came in, your brain is just fucking melted. That's the problem. Like you're not mature enough to have these discussions.
Wait, Loner Box, you're telling me if I put out a study and I try to recruit pedophiles, I'm not going to get a high participation rate?
Yeah, I think that might be the case. Yeah, but that will also lead to them staying more in the shadows and more kids getting hurt. But it's good because we get to virtue signal that we hate pedophiles. I'm just saying, if this is the best example you have of like liberal insanity, God, it's so underwhelming. Like, fuck.
I think it's just an extension of the constant vilification of the LGBTQ community. Like, that is what is happening on this platform, and it's disgusting.
You mean on TikTok or Twitch?
Yeah, on Libs of TikTok. It's just
Okay.
it's an extension of no, it's an extension of the way LGBTQIA plus people have been vilified for a very long time.
I mean, it's just a way to like point at like, haha, look at the degenerates, haha. You know, like it's just like your average, like pretty far right thing to do, actually.
Is that like how leftists like laugh when people that didn't take a COVID vaccine died? Same.
Yeah,
kind
that
of
was
laugh.
cringe. That was horrible. Fuck that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't catch that. Well, if they did, they're fucking assholes.
Okay.
And if any of my comrades come calling you guys fascists and put you on fucking Twitter so they can get you like doxxed and harassed, then yeah, I won't like those people either.
Yeah,
I got your back, guys. Got your back.
Yeah, the difference is that like these behaviors, like these these negative behaviors on the left that MPU mentioned, like these are usually like within the left vilified or like viewed in like, guys, this is kind of like cringe. Like so sure, some people might go, but like most people are like, dude, like this is kind of fucked up. And then here we have Libs of TikTok going like, look at the degenerate, and then they have like 1 million followers. So this kind of dogpiling, lynch mob behavior is much more prevalent on the right. And on the right, I see people sort of even egging this on, like supporting this. I mean, fuck that. Libs of TikTok have been on Fox News, right? And on the left, it's kind of like there's more like, guys, listen, look, some of you might be laughing, but let's exercise some introspection here. This is really correct, or you know. So there's more like so in this case, it's the right that's like all gas, no brakes.
Okay. I think it's time for us to wrap up. It's getting pretty late. Or for me,
good morning,
extremely-
Dylan.
Yeah, good morning. It's almost 6 a.m. now. I now know the European experience on my show.
Good.
Wonderful. So now we're going to wrap up. Again, for everybody watching, any support you can throw to the channel is greatly appreciated. We're now going to have everybody give their ending statements and their outros. Every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have the HIPPY DIPPY Roundtable. So now we're going to throw it over first to Adam something.
Thank you. So, thank you for the discussion. It was sometimes even productive, somewhat. Let's not be too generous, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. So I think for me, a big takeaway of this discussion is the importance of like not being enveloped in buzzwords and sort of meaningless culture war virtue signals. We heard, my favorite part of the evening perhaps is the definition of Marxism provided by Fabian. That was some grade A comedy. Otherwise,
oh god,
yeah,
Eurocentrist trash.
Most people brought out their best arguments for better or worse, but I think for the most part, it was just Fabian and MPU versus everyone else, and otherwise, I think it was a more or less productive discussion. I'm sorry, it's 6 a.m. and I'm tired, so I'm not one for closing statements at this point. So I'll throw it over to the next person, who is
wonderful. We'll throw it over to my friendly Canadian.
Thank you. I think generally we did a good job. I'll ignore my point where I don't think it's really doxing, but I think we did a good job of showing that we probably shouldn't really do this, but at the same time, Washington Post could probably done a lot better. But this, at the same time, again, they're neo-Marxists, so like, what can we really expect from them? All that vulgar Marxism. But no, seriously. Also, I wanted to give big ups to Pixel. She's been so demure and feminine tonight and being very quiet. You gotta appreciate a woman that knows when to talk and when not to. And I'm a little disappointed in the men tonight. I feel like a lot of the men that could have acted like men really acted like little boys. But it's across the board, kind of a shit show, but super fun. Thank you for having me, Dylan. You can find me at Bryce Live, BRYSLIVE here on Twitch, and I'll be streaming lots of shit starting May.
The views expressed by my panelists are not the views expressed by Dylan Burns or Dylan Burns TV. We're gonna throw it over to Fabian.
Yeah, I kind of knew, especially with the masculinity question, that this was going to devolve into a shit show of talking points. And I mean, but that's what blood sports is here. If you want to get like, in-depth conversations. You usually got to watch like 1v1s, but sometimes the blood sports is a little bit more fun and entertaining. In terms of this entire Libs of TikTok situation, look, I don't think doxing them was good. I don't think that the right answer per se is to show some of these insane people, advocating, for maps and advocating for all kinds of random crazy shit with all their hair color going everywhere and pens is like necessarily good to like give them the specific school they're in and give them national attention as an individual. I'm not sure that that's the appropriate way to do it either. In terms of Taylor Lorenz and in that situation, I think it's very obvious that this person's not a journalist, that what they do is they go after people and attack them and use whatever tactics and are available to them to try and win the culture war. Another example of that I'm sure most of you guys aren't aware of is Praxben on TikTok, who's, another anarcho-capitalist. He specifically did an interview with her and he told her, I listen to a lot of people on the right. I listen to a lot of people on the left. I like to watch Vosh's content, even though I think it's cringe because I think it's really funny. And then the way that she then reported it in the Washington Post was Mr. Williams said he's inspired by YouTubers like Steven Crowder, Tim Pool, and Paul Joseph Watson, a prominent far-right personality and InfoWars contributor who's known for spreading conspiracy theories. And then in the next paragraph, she talks about Media Matters and using their reports, right? Like this is an ideologue. This isn't a journalist. It was designed to be a hit piece. And I think it's very clear if you just read this person's writing that obviously malicious intent was there and that she's not out here trying to uncover the truth and do some honest shoe leather reporting. I'm Scott from Fabian Liberty. We're an anarcho-capitalist duo. I have a partner. Sorry, I can't even think of the right word. Two of us, we do a lot of news. We do philosophy reading nights twice a week. We do a lot of fun stuff. Next Thursday, or this Thursday, I guess, at this point, we will be interviewing at 8 p.m. EST, Jeremy Kaufman and Eric from the Twitter account of the LP from New Hampshire, as well as prominent board on the Free State Project and running for Senate for the LP, and hopefully more interviews and things like that to come. Thank you guys so much.
Wow, you found your intellectual equal. We're gonna throw it over to him.
Certainly couldn't find one on Twitch.
Okay. Thank you so much for the great topics. It was really spicy. This was one of the best hippy dippies that I've been on, at least. It was a lot of fun. Listen, in general, okay, if you ever come watch my stream, you'll see that like while I'm a progressive, I try not to be a fucking asshole to conservatives. I don't try to name call and call people fascists and Nazis and stuff like that. That's not my game, okay? I think that there's something to be said about like being able to digest everything that's happening without dehumanizing the other side. And I think that that's the one thing that Libs of TikTok is the exact antithesis of. All they want to do is rage bait for clicks. Okay, if you find yourself getting angry and falling for these rage bait channels, disengage and be okay with criticizing them. And then anyways, as for who I am, I'm Heem. You can find me at twitch.tv/Heem. You can find me on Twitter at @theonlyheem. And if you go on my YouTube, the video I uploaded today, I cosplayed as Chud Logic, Hassan Abi, Infrared Show, and Destiny. And it's a really funny segment that came spontaneously, and everybody seems to be enjoying the impressions. Dylan, thank you for having me on, my American friend. And it was really nice to get to share the panel with all of you.
Happy to have you on. Now I'm going to throw it over to Loner.
Yeah, I think it's like a really interesting summary of what's kind of happened lately. I mean, conservatives are actually not conservatives. I know lots of conservatives. They're very decent people mostly. Republicans basically lost the American culture war, and now they're just coping and calling everyone nonsense. But it might work. It'll probably work. Anger is a very easy emotion to trigger, and they do a very good job of it. I should give my hats off to Libs of TikTok for utilizing postmodern tactics so well. The way that they've just built this fucking like hyper reality where like you should be afraid because your school district might have a map advocate who plays about with gender pins and blue hair, and I don't know. I mean, thinking about like just looking through some of those teachers though, I was just thinking like, fuck, you know, compared to like the fucking crazy nun who like threatened to force feed me as a 4-year-old, or like the very like conservative like Indian teacher in Dubai who like got kids to do fucking push-ups when they fucked up in class and shit. Yeah, progress is a nice thing. I'm glad we're where we are today.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Pixel.
I hope everybody appreciates my extremely feminine appearance on this panel because I pushed through a major hangover. So Dylan didn't get cancelled this week for not knowing any women. So yeah, it's been fun. I don't really have much to say left on the last topic, but yeah, I am usually a little bit more energetic than this. I think the best part of this panel was Spraticus just going full-blown lefty for like, you know, welcome.
It's the vaccine side effect.
Yeah, I don't know. Something in the water. It was great though. But yeah, no, I had a good time. You can come watch me if you want. But yeah, I am so hungover. I just can't.
Sigma Sprout.
It was entertaining though.
I'm the #1 woman knower on Twitch. I know at least 3 women total. I'm gonna throw it over to Sprout.
We'll start with, well, that was unexpected. But yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/thespraticus, twitter.com/thespraticus. I am a conservative, believe it or not. That's up to you, I guess. But anyways, if you guys like my content, if you guys like what I had to say, go give me a follow on Twitch or a sub on Twitch, and go give me a follow on Twitter. And I hope to see you guys later.
And we'll wrap it up with MPU.
Yeah, doxing anybody because you disagree with their philosophical take is fucked up. And to the extent that Libs of TikTok has gone after people and exposed them, lack of a pardon the pun, exposed them their personal information for an intent to try to harm them, that's problematic. And exposing Libs of TikTok's personal information for the intent of trying to harm their ability to earn a living is kind of fucked up. And I think the most telling statement about all of that was that Antifa tried to dox the person and was unable to do it. There's nobody in this room, hopefully, can look and say that Antifa is a good-natured organization who's got the interest of the country at heart. They're I want to say anarchists, but they're basically fascistic in how they operate and do all the stuff they do. And if they're trying to do something to somebody, there's probably that person probably should be defended, at least in some regard. The New York Times and Washington Post, these publications are they're cringe as fuck because they're run by leftists. And they don't have anything good to say about anybody on the right hand side of the argument. And it's not to say that everything that happens on the right is good and should be defended. Shit that's fucked up should be called out. And that's all that I really wanted to say about it. Some of the arguments that people were making were just like, is it doxing? Is it not doxing? It's stupid. The practical effect of a thing is that somebody's information gets released and they get harmed as a result of that happening. That is the practical equivalency of whether you want to be legalistic in the definition or not. That said, I enjoyed the debate topics, and it did get spirited. So I do have a lot of respect for everybody on here. I've actually debated everybody here except for Adam something up at the top. So I appreciate having the opportunity to meet you. I am the More Perfect Union. I occasionally stream on Twitch, the More Perfect Union. I also have a new show that's getting ready to start up in the next 3 weeks. It's all technology driven. It's all product reviews, how to stream, how to improve the output of your stream, and so forth. A lot of technical reviews and stuff like that. This Sunday, May 1st, I'm actually going to be doing a live stream interview with all of the state office candidates on the Republican side here in Wisconsin. So what you guys will stay tuned on my Twitch channel for that. And then I'll let you know, I'm also on Twitter at The Real MPU.
Wonderful. I'm sure all my Wisconsin viewers will vote for them all. You all have a blessed night. I'm going to go collapse immediately. You all have a good one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it was nice debating with you, Leo.
Good night. Nice to be here. Bye-bye.
Bye.